all the sports teams that exist. Certain countries have a big one or two, but we're proud to say our podcast is about the biggest team in the entire world.
And the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
Yeah! This is the World's Team Podcast. All about the world's team, the Dallas Cowboys, baby. We're here to redefine what it means to be a fan of the gridiron game. It's not just America's team anymore. Nope. We're taking that star-studded pride and spreading it across the globe. Each week, we dive into all things Cowboys. From game analysis that'll have you on the edge of your seat, to reactions and all the latest news. Whether it's free agency frenzy, draft day drama, or injury reports that make us want to hug our lucky jerseys a little tighter. We're bringing in fan groups from all over the place, from Germany, France, Brazil, the UK, Canada, Japan. Everybody gets to share their 2 cents on America's favorite team.
And here we go!
America's team! Mexico's team! World's team! My Dallas Cowboys!
And now your hosts, Paul Stewart and Mike Poland.
Hello, Cowboys Nation. It is the 2nd of November, 2024, and welcome to another episode of The World's Team. It's not just America's team, baby. It is the world's team. As always, I am joined by my co-host, my brother-in-arms. You can find him on bloggingtheboys.com. It is Mr. Mike Poland. How are we doing, brother?
Yeah, all good. I am waiting for delivery. So my Saturday is consistent of being patient, drinking beer, and college game day. So there we are.
Yeah, well, I'll be out for the Scotland and Fiji game, the rugby game.
Nice.
So I'll be out and about for that. So I'll be good to get in amongst the sports, get me ready for the following week as I travel to Dallas. Well, I won't be at the Eagles game per se, but I will be at the Texans game. So, but I am looking forward to my trip away. Honestly, I really need it right now, just to get back into the States, have some good frozen margaritas, have some good barbecue, like just the stuff that really hits the spot,
Yeah. Are you gonna go into Ferris Wheelers?
I will. Yeah, I need to show my friends show my friends some love and support, man. And I need to go and check out my friend's new bar called Dudley's. So I need to go out there and go and check it out. I've not been there yet, so yeah, that's the plan of action. But yes, Mike, it's been a bit of a tipsy-turvy season for the Dallas Cowboys so far. Obviously, look, we lost to the San Francisco 49ers, a game that we thought we could have won. Us being more favorites, being on the road, and also the fact that San Francisco had a lot of injuries in their roster as well. And this would have been a good opportunity for us to actually seize the opportunity. I will say, though, Mike, I didn't think if we were to win that game, it wouldn't be a blowout or anything. It'd be a closely contested game. But again, just the way we're losing, it just feels like there's a bit of lackluster in our team right now. There's just nothing really stands out to say a bit of fire within these players right now. And it's so frustrating to see what the problem is right now.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially the third quarter. The third quarter at the moment is really bad. Like, I know, there's been situations in the other quarters in some other games, but third quarter has been particularly bad for the Cowboys, and that is continuing. I mean, the 49ers, you're talking about that. It was 21 unanswered points in the third quarter, and we were at half time. And historically, especially if you talked about this team last year, that even if they were ahead by a little bit, they were a team that if you could get ahead of the competition in terms of scoreline, and they could bully the team. They were one of the best teams, right? That if you got ahead, especially at halftime, that's it. this Cowboys team, they will smell blood in the water and they will just go for it. This season, there is just something different where whatever that was that they could do last season, that finesse of it all just isn't there. And you see it with this third quarter with the 49ers, and suddenly you're just like, what is wrong with this team? Why is it? What is going so badly wrong here? And there's a number of things. I mean, I've been asked this question all week. It's like there's many layers to the answer to that question.
Yeah, I guess this is where my next question goes, Mike. And here it goes. Where do you see the blame with how things are going right now? Do you blame it on the front office? Do you blame it on Mike McCarthy? Or do you put the blame on players individually?
I would say each has their part to play. I would say that, we're talking of layers. The layers, I think, are what the front office did in the off-season when we lost Dan Quinn. We filled it with Mike Zimmer, which I'll come to now. They lost players. They lost parts that they never restocked. They never reloaded the roster in that sense. They made a lot of questionable moves as well as not making moves anyway, like as they do. You could see this coming from a mile away. And then you look, go on, mate.
I was just going to say, it's like not just ourselves, but our good friend Jay Tuck, our good friend Nix, Law Nation, all the other Cowboys content creators have been saying this from day one, even before pre-season, way before even training camp started. It was just like, is this enough to really be challenging for the NFC East as of right now? Forget the Super Bowl at this moment. We need to be very realistic here. Like, because we're in a position right now, it's like we're trying to battle just to even try and win the NFC East.
Yeah, I mean that is I mean, we could talk about that in a moment as well. But I mean, going back to your original question, I mean, there's the front office. The next thing then is the play calling, which is obviously Mike McCarthy. You look at it, and sometimes things are out of sync, things are out of whack, and you look at the play calling and you go, why did you call that play and then do this? Why are we knowing that we're one of the worst? We are the worst rushing team in the NFL right now. It's 2nd and 9, and you're calling a run play. Like, this isn't making any sense. The way you're going down. Then you talk about the players. I mean, all right, you could give the players some what's the word I'm looking for? Some sort of, you go, right, okay, let's look at the roster. We lost Sam Williams. We lost Marshawn Nealon. We lost Michael Parsons. We lost DeMarcus Lawrence. We lost Brandon Cooks. You go down the list and you see these players are injured. Kendricks has missed time as well. All of these factors, they do play a part. But the team is underperforming. And then one of the other guys who, you didn't mention in that list, who I put a lot of this blame on at the moment, is Mike Zimmer.
Yeah.
Defense at the moment is just struggling bad.
See, at the same time, I'm not happy with Mike Zimmer, but also to kind of counteract myself is what he's inherited a defense essentially that it was basically built around Dan Quinn, completely different philosophy. And to throw Zimmer in based on a 1-year contract, what I'm basically trying to say is he basically had very, very little time. I remember the recruitment process to get the defensive coordinator, and we were talking about Rex Ryan and all sorts, and it was and it wasn't until maybe 4 or 5 weeks before training camp we got our defensive coordinator. I mean, that's not a lot of time. When you really think about it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So, but at the same time, we're a coach with Zimmer's experience. He should know better. He should know how to get certain players that might not fit your mold, how to get them adjusted to your system. But don't get me wrong. We've made some moves in terms of the defense, bringing in the likes of Kendricks, which has been a big, massive plus for us.
That was a huge plus.
Yeah, because like people saying, "Oh yeah, Kendricks, yeah, whatever," and that, like at the time. But it's like, no, the more you think about it, this guy knows how Zimmer thinks. He knows what he expects of his players. He knows how to communicate. He's probably one of the best communicators in this team right now. But
Yeah.
obviously, his presence is absolutely missed at the moment. So we're now up to Lauerfu, Overshawn, and Damon Clark right now. So
I will say though, you're talking of that. Overshown has been awesome this season.
He has been great. I will get Overshawn has he feels as though he feels like it reminds me of that scene from The Dark Knight of the Joker. It's like, I don't know what to do if I had it, you know?
Yeah.
That's the excitement I see from Overshawn wanting to play football. Like just that one scene with him and Two-Face in the hospital scene, like it's like I'm like a dog with a bone. I don't know what to do if I got
it. That's why I'm laughing. It's your Joker impression, man.
Oh, is that my Joker impression?
You know what I'm like. I love your impressions, mate.
I know. Tell me about it.
But no, you're right. Going back to this, 100%, you're correct. Here's my trouble with Zim. I mean, first of all, when you go back and you look at how Zim was as a head coach, like towards the end of his time in Minnesota, me personally, I thought that was it. I thought he was done. I thought he's not coming back. He's finished coaching the NFL.
Yeah.
Gets his chance with Dallas, and you go, okay, I understand. I see the idea of this rhetoric that we've got going here. But like, I'm seeing Zim on the sideline. And you know what we're all used to seeing with Zimmer? You're seeing this very energetic, very
aggressive,
very vocal. Not a guy you want to be mic'd up,
No.
and having the kids listen to. But you're seeing him down on the sideline,
and
down there,
and it's constantly arms crossed all the time,
quiet, like.
Yeah, it's just something is off, Mike. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like whether it's the front office playing an effect on the coaching staff, then that's playing an effect on the players, or it could be some other reason that we can't think of. It's a pure conspiracy theories we're thinking of right here. But either way, there is something wrong with our football team right now.
Yeah,
like
defense. The defense has the biggest part in this. Especially on the run defense part.
Oh yeah, 100%.
The run defense, and you know yourself playing the game. The easiest way to control a game and win a game is just running the ball. Yeah. Stop the run or establish the run. If you're on offense, you can do that. You will win it. You will win football games all day for a number of reasons why. And they cannot stop the run. They are dead last next to the Carolina Panthers in average rush yards allowed per game. You do that, you're never going to win a game. You just won't. And we're talking about the Panthers. Panthers in the same situation, and look how they're getting on, right? So you do that. What does an offense end up have to do? It has to go out, and then suddenly they fall behind. The defense can't stop the run. There's a lot of possession game going on. So what do the Cowboys need to do? They suddenly become one-dimensional. And I'm not making excuses for Dak. Dak does have his part to play in this.
Yeah.
But, because he's not playing to an exceptionally high standard. But at the same time, right, I will come to his defense and say he is trying to force the ball. And he is putting the ball in harm's way. He is putting the ball in harm's way. These interceptions and bad passes are happening. But that is also happening off the back of that he has to do these things. That unfortunately, because of the corner he's been pushed into, he's having to make these throws.
Yeah.
That's the other side of the coin on this.
When you really look at it, the best times where you see Dak most comfortable is when he's got an actual running game, like as his backbone. Like when you look at when from 2016 to like when we had like Zeke and
a young Zeke, yeah,
like he felt a little more and Tony Pollard, he looked more comfortable. He had the pressure off him as much, like those type of but whenever the run game is completely fizzled out, he's having to do double time essentially, and that to him mentally is going to go out there, become more gun ho, which we'll talk about in this later on in the show about the whole gun ho terminology. When he goes more gun ho, then more mistakes are going to happen, and unfortunately it's because this is just my opinion. And folks, if you're watching this and listen to this on Spotify and Apple Music, please let us know your thoughts as well. Like, I just generally feel that Dak's trying to do too much per se, if that makes sense.
He is, and he's trying to do too much with very little.
Yeah,
you know, when you think about it, that's the best. Lamb.
Yep, that's a really good way to put it, mate. So, because let's be honest, our other wide receivers are not really stepping up to the plate. I mean, we've had moments with our wide receivers. Tolbert against the Steelers, great. But other than other wee moments there, like Cooks against the Browns, we've not really had anyone to even take the pressure off CeeDee Lamb. And it's not just that, catching the balls and not and in a way as well, CeeDee Lamb's got a lot of blame for this as well. His effort,
definitely,
I've seen it in multiple games, not just this year, but last year as well, where when his head's down, he just doesn't look as interested, doesn't put as much effort in to try and even dislodge the ball from becoming intercepted, contest the ball. So there's a bit of a level of frustration. We know how amazing and talented CeeDee Lamb is, but it's that extra part of if things don't go your way, how are you going to help the team out? For example, if you're not the targeted wide receiver, how are you going to help the team? You just don't kind of just drift off. You help make blocks. You help seal them in. You help try and get upfield. You try and help your other wide receivers try and get up to the end zone. Stuff like that. So it is a bit of a frustration part because obviously he's just got paid, and I have no doubt, if CeeDee Lamb gets things, gets the ball rolling, he is one of the best wide receivers in this league, if not the best, in my opinion. But he generally does have a problem with when his head goes down, it affects the rest of the team.
I can't disagree with anything that you're saying. And, the other side of that as well is that he has to realize that by having that lackadaisical effort, it also gives the play away. Do you know what I mean? Because if he's the target man on the play, he runs totally differently than if the ball isn't. And that gives the play away. But, defenses look at it and they go, okay.
It's all about the tails. It's just the same when you look at how offensive linemen, if their knuckles are turning white, then you know it's essentially going to be a run.
Yeah. Are they pressing forward or back? Yeah.
Exactly. So that's one. It's like try and pick up these wee little tails. So even the demeanor of CeeDee Lamb, if he looks as though he's about to sprint off, then likely he's going to be the guy who's going to be targeted. If he looks a bit more relaxed on the line of scrimmage, being up across one of those cornerbacks from the opposing team, then he's unlikely. He's going to be there as a supportive role in a way. So we need to be better in execution. That's what it really does come down to as well. And it's incredibly frustrating. But yes, folks, before we do jump into our preview for the Atlanta Falcons game, we will be right back after this message.
The World's Team Podcast is brought to you by Cowboys Experience. The ultimate Cowboys experience with stadium tours, meet and greets, tailgating, game tickets, and much more. For more information, please go to www.cowboysexperience.com.
Yeah, be sure to go and check out cowboysexperience.com and use the discount code WorldsTeam2024. Now, Mike, the preview for the Atlanta Falcons. Before we do jump into that, actually, give us the injury report, because we do have some names for the Cowboys are still kind of questionable at the moment, but hit me with it.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me just grab it quickly. All right. Yeah. So, I mean, the big one, first of all, I mean, let's start off with the most concerning one. It's Trayvon Diggs. So Trayvon Diggs has got a calf strain that they're calling it. That means that so Mike McCarthy has said it's a game time decision. Going off what has been said or is being said, it looks like he's not going to be playing. I mean, get ready for that. On the back foot of that as well, Deron Bland. I mean, obviously we know about that. Amani Oruwariye was basically was shut down for the year. That was to make room for Deron Bland because he basically hit his 21-day coming off injury. So if they didn't put him on the active roster, he immediately resorts to injured reserve. So if they didn't put him on, you got that situation going on. So they activated him, shut down a Warrior, but it's likely he's still not going to play because he's still dealing with his foot injury. Along with that, then we've got Linval Joseph. He's questioned with a back. Eric Kendricks with a shoulder. Zach Martin with a shoulder as well. Micah Parsons, he's out, and so is Jordan Phillips. And then you got Nick Vigil, the other linebacker, who is also questionable with a foot injury.
Happy days. The joys of injuries, eh?
Yes. So fun and games, as always, mate.
Yeah. A depleted defensive line, question marks with the offensive line, potential injuries there. It's not really going to help my confidence going into this game, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, Mike. Because we're up against the Atlanta Falcons, who are currently 5-3 right now. And just to give everyone the wee history lesson about the Cowboys and Atlanta Falcons. So the Cowboys lead 19 games to 11. First game starting back from 1966, winning 47-14, and our most recent win, we beat the Falcons 43-3 back in 2021. And obviously the game before that, back in 2020, was the Squid Ball or the watermelon kick.
The watermelon kick, yeah.
Yep, which was one of the most craziest comebacks in Cowboys history.
Yeah. I'm still trying to wrap my brains, but me and you were on together. We were on a show or something together.
No, we were talking through our group chat pretty much because I was watching the game through my living room at the time, and I was literally about to turn the TV off because I'm thinking there's just no way we're coming back from this. Then obviously we got the onside kick, and the whole momentum shift completely changed in that moment, and we went out to win that game. And it's sad to say, it genuinely felt like winning the Super Bowl that game. It really did. It's sad to say that. It's because of the troubles of that game, and that was pretty much the demise of Dan Quinn and his tenure at the Atlanta Falcons. Just not long after that, that's when he got basically got axed by the Falcons. And obviously we picked him up the year after. So. But yeah, Mike. So tell me, what do you see in this team of the Atlanta Falcons?
Yeah, I mean, going off the history, Cowboys on 3-game winning streak, so that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So, all good things come in threes. So yeah, there's that. But I mean, you look at the Atlanta Falcons. Offensively, they're not a bad team. I mean, there's the whole thing with Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins, very confusing and odd. Okay, whatever. But Kirk Cousins isn't playing badly this year. He's been okay.
I'll tell you why. It's because he's actually got a good, decent amount of weapons all across the board on him. He's got Pitts, he's got Drake London, he's got Bijan Robinson.
Yeah,
all first-round picks.
Yeah, there we go, talking about the run game. Yeah, Robinson, I mean, he's having a bit of a down year, but still, regardless, he's doing well. And I think a lot of the reduction of production that you see in from Bijan Robinson A lot of that is teams focusing very heavily on trying to stall him and stop him, but that ends up leading to the likes of, like you say, Pitts, London, Darnell Mooney as well. The other side, they're all having good seasons, and you know the passing, receiving yards, and the touchdowns, they're all fantastic. But on the other side, I mentioned as well the offensive line, very, very good in the run block inside of it all. Although Lindstrom may miss this game, which is huge if he does. But on the defensive side, I mean, those guys, they are just missing numbers. I mean, you look at their linebackers, you look at their safeties, you look at their cornerbacks, you go through it bit by bit. You just see injuries up and down the board this year for them. And it's a 3-4 defense. So linebackers are extremely important. And they just don't have any guys. They're just running low on linebackers. I think they literally have like 4 active linebackers. And like you're looking at it going, so what? You're gonna play every set, you're gonna play all 60 snaps with these guys on a 3-4 defense? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Cornerback and safety is the same thing for these guys. They're lacking numbers.
Yeah, definitely. And the way how the NFC South standings are looking at right now, it wouldn't surprise me, even though they've beaten Tampa Bay twice already this year.
They have,
but
yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me if Tampa Bay will come back at a later point this season and overtake them based on what you're saying there about like their linebackers. But back to the point about these Falcons, I'm just looking over the stats right here. So just to give it a comparison, and that, so like you mentioned, Mike, we are dead last when it comes to rushing the ball. We're dead last, worst in the league. There's no sugarcoating it. In terms of the Falcons' rush defense, they're 21st in the league. So something could happen there potentially. We might actually see Rico Dowdle might burst out into this game. Who knows? In terms of the Falcons, their offensive rushing, they're 15th in the league right now.
Yeah.
And in terms of our defensive, basically stopping the run, we're 31st. We're second last in the league.
Well, if you look, we're last because our average rush yards allowed per game are the same as the Panthers.
I'm just going.
We're joint last.
No, I'm just going based on the statistics provided by ESPN right here.
Yeah, we're joint last essentially. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean it is bad, but here's a crazy part that the Falcons rank dead last in completion percentage allowed. So they're allowing 73% of all passes to be complete, which is wild. So they're allowing, I think, the 5th most passing touchdowns, and they're also allowing the 3rd highest 3rd down completion rate on defense.
Which is a good sign for us, because that's something that we have kind of struggled, is to actually keep possession of the ball on offense at times, and we always have to revert back to Mr. Golden Leg, our Lord and Savior Brandon Aubrey, to try and keep us alive in this game. Hopefully, that might not be the case going into this game.
No. I do have one for you, Paul, though, that you will be very excited about. The Falcons also rank dead last in one particular very important statistic. Sacks. They are dead last. Dead last. Their defensive line is creating 0 pressure. And you think about this Cowboys offensive line and Dak Prescott in what is happening there. Basically, their defensive line, it's struggling to create pressure. 3-4 defenses generally, and the Falcons do play quite a traditional 3-4 defense. That's usually the reason you do it, is to create pressure. And they're just getting none. They're getting zilch. So you think with this offensive line, the way that it is, especially with Zach Martin cropping up on the injury report, you just think, you look at it, you go, could this be a game where the offensive line can get right?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the Falcons roster right now, so they've got Grady Jarrett as their
Yeah.
left defensive end, David Onyemata, their nose
Hmm.
tackle, who pretty much plays as a zero. Then you've got Zach Harrison on the right. Then obviously you've got a name that we're quite familiar of, and Matthew Judon,
Hmm.
who was great for likes of the New England Patriots a
New
couple of
England
seasons
Patriots.
ago.
Yeah, that's right.
But he's not really like he's had one or two games where he actually did look good, but overall so far he's kind of been on the quiet side, if I'm being perfectly honest, Mike.
No, they all are, and like you go through it, and you go like, well, who's the sack guy for them, and you try and figure out, and you just look at it, and you're like, well, no one really. He's got one sack, he's got one sack, he's got one sack, and that's what all it really is. Injuries have had its part to play in it. I mean, like Brendan Trice, their rookie, he goes out before the season starts. They got another rookie. Rook Hororo, on who's like not really played all that much. He did from about week 6 or week 5 onwards. Like they haven't got much going for them on the defensive side of it all, and you're just seeing it. But we worry about the Cowboys being able to run the ball, but what the Cowboys have managed to do, because they kind of like have had no choice, they've thrown the ball a lot and been kind of successful at it, and they've got a lot of production from it. But that's the thing the Falcons struggle with the most, is stopping the pass. So what they're better at is what the Cowboys are weak at, and what the Cowboys are really strong at, the Falcons are terrible at. So it's kind of like the scales are tipping in the right direction for this game.
Yeah, I can't remember what game in particular it was, but the and and I'm not trying to put this on you, Mike, or anything, but there was a time when we were going up against the Atlanta Falcons. We were looking a bit more confident based on how terrible
Yeah.
the Falcons defense were doing. And look what happened during the game. Dak Prescott got sacked 5 or 6 times. 4 of them came from one player.
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember that game. It was away from home. I think it was just when they're just opened up their new season. I think it was back in maybe 2017, maybe.
Yeah.
Is that how long ago it was? Might have been that game, actually. I'll need to double check the stats on that one, but I think we lost like 27-7. We couldn't even get, like, I think we only scored in the first quarter and we just completely died down. And after that, it was just basically the Atlanta defense just completely destroyed us in that regard. So I kind of feel like that's the same case going into this game. Like, knowing it's the Cowboys, anytime anyone wants to go up and play against Dallas, they seem to be more up for it. Like you saw with the Lions, like you saw with New Orleans. The New Orleans Saints fans were celebrating, oh, it was like our Super Bowl beating Dallas in their home turf. Whippy do. You know what I mean? But for Atlanta, like, I just have a nasty feeling like they're just gonna have our number in this game. It's just a gut feeling, and sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes I'm just overthinking it, sometimes I'm just being very passive, But
Yeah.
but anyway, Mike, going back to what you were kind of mentioning about the defense there. There wasn't one of their players is actually questionable for this game as well.
They've got, I think, one of the cornerbacks. I'd have to go back and check.
I
I've been
think
trying to check the.
let me
I
just-
did trying to find their practice report before this show started, and it's all a bit weird on what they're being reported on, unfortunately. So I did try and find out what was going on there. I've managed to get Chris Lindstrom was obviously questionable, but he has today put on he has managed to do a full practice. Same with Rook Hororo, who we just talked about. He was obviously a question. But
I've actually got the full report here actually.
Excellent.
So Bertrand, concussion, he is out.
JD Bertrand, yeah.
Yep. So Ohoro, he's out. Troy
okay.
Anderson, he's questionable. Had a full practice on Friday, but
Wow.
he is questionable. Drew
So
Dalman, as
we're talking there linebackers again. Look, Paul. Do you know what
I know, but so Drew
Wow.
Dalman, ankle, the center, he's questionable. Guard Chris Lindstrom, as we kind of already mentioned, he had full practice on Friday, but he is questionable. And try to see who else who did not practice. Wide receiver Cardero Hodge, it was more of a personal matter, did not practice on Friday. And the mass majority of all the other players were rest, no injury. So yeah, that is it for likes of the Atlanta Falcons right now. Again, Mike, like I said, I'm not really particularly confident going into this game. Can we get the win? Absolutely, we can. That's if the Cowboys decide to show up. If they show up, obviously, injuries on our end is going to play a factor in that. But this is the confusing part. This kind of goes back to preseason and Mike Zimmer. Remember, we were praising Mike Zimmer during preseason, how he was getting all the fringe players playing ball out. Like, they were making picks, they were getting sacks, they were making they were just making tackles galore during that preseason. And since we came to the first team, it's just been it's like turning it's just like flip it like 360.
Yeah. I mean, it's all gone wrong.
Oh, sorry, 180. It's doing like a 180. Sorry.
Yeah, no, as I just let a massive yawn there. Sorry. But yeah, no, I agree. It's the trouble is right. Here's how I will put it: is that there is a lack of confidence in this team, and I do think, right. I know we'll get to the score predictions and everything else in a moment, but I do think the Cowboys win this game. But what I'm worried about is that the win will get misconstrued, and people will turn around and go, "Oh my god!" And like wins always get overblown. I will say this now: I think the Cowboys will win, but still hold on to your pants because this is still going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, I'm not expecting a blowout in this game from our end at all. It's going to be nitty. It's going to be gritty. There's going to be a lot of mistakes from both ends of the park because we haven't even scratched the surface talking about Kirk Cousins yet. And this is the point where I was going to say going gun ho. We talked about Dak Prescott being very gun ho because our running game is very non-existent. So he's forced to do that and be more gun ho and try and go for the fences. But where Kirk Cousins, he's not afraid to go gun-ho regardless of the situation. He's known to do that. He did it at Washington. He did it at Minnesota. So far, he's actually having quite a conservative type of season so far. He's got like 14 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, I believe.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
he's off to a good start.
Yeah, and I think he's certainly in the top 10 in passing yards as well. I think he might be like 5th or 6th or something. But he's got a lot more choice to play with than what Dak has. Like you say, he's got the run game, and he's got an offensive line that is it's able to create a lot of push. It does really well in run blocking. So there's a lot of factors to this. And yeah, I mean, Kirk Cousins, I'm not his biggest fan. I think he has issues, right? I think sometimes things get overblown with what he produces. But on the back end of that, as one of his biggest critics, I will say this has been one of his better seasons. Like, you've seen him playing more as a quarterback than just a passer.
Yeah, like the way I view Kirk Cousins is like he's not the quarterback is going to get you to a Super Bowl per se because he does tend to have that notion of where he does make a mistake or the pressure's too much for him, as we've kind of seen that in history's past. But he would still make your team very competitive regardless.
Oh yeah,
like, and if there's one thing I can actually credit Kirk Cousins for, He's got a lot of grit and determination to still try and get the win, even though he's making mistakes. But he's going out there to try and win the game. Like he's not.
Go on. Go
on. On you go.
All I was going to say is the biggest problem with Kirk Cousins is pressure. It's always been pressure.
Yeah,
he is one who, as soon as he senses pressure, doesn't even need to necessarily. As soon as he senses it or he feels it, it falls apart. This is why, this is why he struggles in big games or struggles. When he's the prime game, that when the pressure is on him or when the team leans on him, he does collapse, he does struggle. And that's how you beat him, and the Cowboys know this very well, having faced him, as you say, when he was at Washington, that that you get in his face, you create a bit of pressure, you create his own mistakes.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Mike. Also from likes of the Atlanta Falcons point of view, we are seeing the likes of Kyle Pitts actually getting a lot more action this season, I think. And obviously Drake London's actually been having an okay season so far. So
he's doing fine, yeah.
So,
I mean, London's good.
But what I was going to say was, when you likes of Pitts, London, and Robinson, all first-round draft picks, like, I do think those guys are going to really explode, really come into the scene at some point later this season. I don't know if Kirk Cousins is the guy to do that. We don't know when Michael Penix is going to be the guy to do that. But the fact is, these guys are a threat. And knowing how our defense is right now, like from secondary, like we're going to be out with Diggs, we're going to be out with Bland. We're going to be we've got the worst Russian run defense in the league. So, as a fan, I am deeply concerned going into this game.
I think your concerns are warranted, definitely. Diggs is a big question mark, and with that, you go, well, who's up against who are we putting up against Drake London? It's going to be Jordan Lewis, right? So you go, all right, well, Jordan Lewis is actually doing good.
He's actually been our best corner this year.
Yeah.
So he's had the best preseason of his Cowboys career, and he's actually been our best corner so far. He's probably him, and among maybe a few other individuals like Overshawn, etc., are still trying to keep this team alive, this defense alive going forward. And obviously, we're missing out Eric Kendricks as well, which is a big loss. It really is, and it would it would really bring. I would say it would bring quite a lot of the morale up if Kendricks was playing this game. It would.
It helps in a lot of regard, But I mean, like the cornerback situation is concerning, especially when you add in, as you mentioned, the issues of the Cowboys not being able to stop the run. But then you go, well, is this going to be a game with the way it's going? Is this going to be a game where CJ Goodwin is going to have to play cornerback for like the first time in his career?
I don't even want to think about that, mate, if I'm being perfectly honest with you.
It's wild. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, who are you putting up on the other side? Because Amani, as we mentioned, has been shut down for the year. So you just kind of like, So that side is concerning. But I just think that their defense has as many holes as the Cowboys. So in a to and fro,
I see what you're saying. Yeah. I see. No, I see what you're saying, but I don't share the positivity as much. If I'm being honest, I don't share the optimism. But yeah, Mike, it is time for this week's Would You Rather. And so, as always, every week, Mike will throw off the question to you, the listeners and viewers, and tell us what would you rather have. So tell me, Mike, what is this week's Would You Rather?
Yeah. And as Paul says, just write it in the comments or message, whatever. Paul will give his immediate response to this one. So would you rather, Paul? So obviously Brandon Cooks, he's still injured at the moment. We're missing old Cooks over there. We've seen issues with whoever the number 2 receiver is, and I think they're going to play an important role this week. But who would you rather, of what you've seen so far as wide receiver 2, Cavante Turpin or Jalen Tolbert?
It's still Jalen Tolbert for me. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. Fair enough. No, that's fine.
That's a really straightforward one for me. Like, and for me, like Turpin's kind of showing why he's not being elevated up to the high standard of being maybe a wide receiver number 2 with the drop passes, with being out of position and stuff like that. So, whereas Tolbert, we're actually seeing an actual, like, not upgrade, but we're actually seeing him develop better this year, even though he's not getting the ball as much as you would like to think he would be. But we are like, when you compare him to the previous seasons, he has developed a little bit better. To me, it would be Turpin. No Turpin. It would be Jalen Tolbert.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's fair enough. All right, and right as we say, guys, in the comments, who you want to see as wide receiver 2?
Yep. But yeah, Mike, it's now for our bowl prediction for this week. So again, folks, let us know what you think of what your bowl prediction would be. Is Dad going to throw 6 touchdowns out of nowhere, or is Jerry Jones actually going to make a trade? I don't know, something crazy. That's how bold can you go? So, as always, Mike, you shall go first.
Okay. All right. Here's one for you. Safety has been a problem at the moment. The safety group has been a problem for Dallas. Last week, they did not play very well. So there's a little bit of a change. They make some moves, but here's my bold prediction. Pick 6, Juanye Thomas.
Oh, I actually really like that one, actually. And I wouldn't say that's actually bold, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, Mike.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think outside the box a little.
Like, I wouldn't say that's bold at all. I think that's actually quite possible. Okay. Well, I'm going to go very bold in my prediction.
Go very bold, mate. Go bold or go home.
Mazzy Smith's going to show up at this game, and he's actually going to... Like, it's very unlikely, but he's going to come into this game, and him and this depleted defensive line are going to hold down Bijan Robinson to only 50 yards this game.
Ooh. That's actually very possible. But what we're saying is Bijan Robinson
unlikely.
Held 50 yards.
Unlikely.
No. I like it. Bijan Robinson held to 50 yards. This defense has struggled on the run defense. So I agree. But you're saying the instigator of this stoppage is Mazzy Smith.
That's how bold I'm going. I'm not saying he is going to do it. It's a bold prediction.
No, it's the bold prediction. Yeah, I get it. I do like that one. Gives you a warm, fuzzy feeling.
It would actually wake me the hell up, to be honest. It's like, where have you been all this time if he was to do that? So, but finally, as always, here on the Wolves team, we always finish off by giving our score predictions. So, with this being in mind, I did say on the UK Cowboys fans that Cowboys were going to win 27-20 or something like that, I believe.
Something like that.
It was in a long slab, but I'm going to change it. And I think it's going to be Falcons 24, Cowboys 17.
Fair enough. All right, and I'm going to go Cowboys win. Cowboys 31, Falcons 24.
All right, there we have it. So, yeah, folks, but like I said, give us your score predictions as well in the comments. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Yeah, and whether you're from the US, from the UK, from Japan, from Canada, wherever you are, if you are a fan of Cowboys Nation, of the Dallas Cowboys, that you're in the right place. But yes, folks, we will be back next week as we will be covering hopefully a win, I hope, against the Atlanta Falcons, and the preview against those despicable Philadelphia Eagles. And I'll be in a much more happier mood, not just because if we do win, it's because I'll be traveling the next following day, going to Texas. So I'll be in my happy mood, regardless how terrible
you'll be doing this show from across the pond, mate.
I'll be doing the show in the US for the Texas game for sure. So I will definitely need to. We'll definitely need to be try and figure out the time zone difference on that one, my friends. So, but yes, folks. But yes, folks, that is the end of this week's show. We'll be back next week. Before we do go, Mike, please tell everyone where everyone can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Kenfig Cowboy. That's Kenfig with a K, Cowboy with a K.
And you can find me at IMP on X and Instagram. But yeah, folks, we'll be back next week. And until then, it's not just America's team, it is the world's team. We'll see you guys next week.
You've been listening to the World's Team Podcast. There's no other team like it in the world. Nothing more electrifying than the Dallas Cowboys. And we're here to prove it. We bring in fan groups from Germany, France, Brazil, the UK, Canada, Japan. We're everywhere, baby. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on Instagram at the.worlds.team, on Twitter at the_worlds_team, and on YouTube at the Worlds Team. How about them Cowboys?
And the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
See you next time.